Live from Melbourne, Australia.
And Toronto, Canada.
This is the All Things Smart Home Show
with Phil Hawthorne and Rohan Paramandi.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the All Things Smart Home Show. Hey, Rohan, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Yeah, good. All right. Been a while since we've done one of these, but thought
I
we've been
know.
talking about like all these presence sensors, motion sensors for quite some time, and I finally got my hands on one of those Xiaomi FP1 sensors. So yeah, we're going to talk all about it. Yeah, first of all, Rohan, how's it going?
Can't complain. Just been day at work. It's a random Thursday, so I know we usually do this on the weekends, but yeah, pretty good. That's why hopefully it looks okay. But my lights are clearly way too bright right now. But that's
It's
okay.
also,
It's
usually
in my
the
eyes
opposite
and just.
of what the time we record as well, right? Usually it's
I know this is
morning
very
for
unusual for
you,
me.
night for me. So yeah, we are completely opposite at the moment. All right,
That's
cool.
right.
So I guess we'll give it a bit of a breakdown on what motion sensors and presence sensors are. So generally in smart home, one of the real problems people have is automating things based on when someone is in a room. There's lots of options for it. Same with detecting when people are home. So there's heaps of options. People like to use Bluetooth devices. Maybe you've got an Apple Watch on your wrist. Maybe you've got a dongle that you carry around, or maybe not, right? People, or even just your phone. Some people use just phones, right? And then you've got they'll use the Raspberry Pi devices around their homes, and depending on how close your phone is compared to which beacon is closest to, you can have yes, I'm in this room essentially. That is fine if you're carrying a device around with you all the time, or if you've got your phone on you. I like to leave my phone in a different room and walk out somewhere else. So that sort of puts that out for me. What are you using for room presence for running your smart home?
So right now, not a ton, right? Just motion if I need it.
Yep.
And realistically, I don't really have that integrated too much in my stuff. Just I don't do a ton with motion, other than from a security perspective. So if I'm not home, that's really when the motion kicks in to alert me or alert my partner, whatever that is, right? Just to alert everybody. But other than that, I don't have a ton of use cases. I do actually have one coming up where we both always just forget to turn off lights and stuff like that in our closet. But other than that, that's more of a motion rather than a presence, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, I really want the lights to just. I always use the analogy of Stargate Atlantis or Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
Like you walk into a room and the lights just turn on. And so with presence sensors or motion sensors, you can generally get that, right? And a lot of people will have motion sensors in their homes from a security system that's already been installed, perhaps. You may even be currently using it, or if you have an old security system, generally they just leave the sensors in and they just hang out in your corner of a ceiling somewhere and don't do anything. And then you can find a system to integrate those. So what I've done is I've been using for quite a while Z-Wave motion sensors. And so the idea being is that I think they use like infrared, and same thing as like a security system or when you walk in through a Twitch shopping center, right? Like it detects motion moving, and okay, it says, yep, someone is in the room. The good thing about those is that they're pretty quick at detecting, someone walking into a room, generally. And the problem is that though they can't know when someone has left the room. So that's when you get into sort of situations where you need to have timeout. Okay, so after 4 minutes of not seeing motion, then we know no one's in the room. And then of course it gets really tricky when you want to find, someone's maybe on the couch reading a book, turning the pages, but it's not enough movement to trigger that motion sensor.
Yeah.
And of course, then you get the situation, and you'll hear it all the time. I'm sitting reading a book, and the lights turn out on me. That is.
Well, I mean, I think we've all been in a situation, even when we're in an office or something like that, right? Where you're sitting there long enough, and all of the lights just turn off around you, and you're like, "Oh, okay, let's start."
Yeah, got to wave your hands and do all that stuff, right? Yeah,
exactly. So a little annoying there, right? But
yep. So that's where the new micromillimeter, I think they're calling it, presence sensors sort of come into it. There's been a few on the market, and they're probably more like a commercial side of things for quite some
Yeah.
time. But now we're getting into the space where they're becoming down in price, and which means they get unlocked for the consumer market, I'm guessing. So, and this is where smart home geeks like us get to really get excited. And one of
Yeah.
those sensors that has been on the market for quite some time is, well, recently, I should say, sorry, not quite some time, is the Xiaomi FP1 presence sensor. So this uses, and I've got one right here. Well, I open it up in a second. It is a, yeah, it looks like a little ball. It has apparently, I don't know what the technology behind it is. I'm going to say radar or something very similar, but it sends out little, waves of
Yeah.
sound detection, right? And its accuracy, it claims it can detect someone breathing, being
Yeah.
quite accurate.
According to their news article, or their like on their website that they've put out, it
Mm,
says kind of the sensor is equipped with new generation of millimeter wave radar sensors that take you into a
there you
new
go.
world of perception. So
Yep. So I don't know how healthy it is for your health. I look, this is actually radars
just have radar
being
at your
used.
chest at all time. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, radar's been used for quite some time, but yeah,
Yeah.
this stuff. So the good thing about this sensor is that it is great at detecting when no one is in the room. So it allows you to do faster turn off automations. However, the problem with that is that you get turn on automations are a bit slow. It takes a so I think what it does is it essentially sends out a radar pulse every let's say 10 seconds, just as a random
Yeah.
number, gets a snapshot of what your room looks like at that time, and then another 10 seconds gets echoes back and says, all right, this has changed, which means someone is in the room. Now the
Mhm.
problem is because of the delay between the two times it's taking the photos or the pictures of the current state of your room. If you walk into a room, you're going to get significantly slower response time of the sensor picking up that someone's in the room than you would like your standard IR motion sensor. So you sort of
Right.
need both. So I'm in the process of putting where I've got these in the rooms. I'm also using IR sensors to turn lights on and these to turn lights off. So it's faster for the
Interesting. Okay.
and I can sort of break that down a little bit more as well. Also, if you've got any questions,
So
post them in the comments, and we'll try and answer them as best
yeah,
we can too.
absolutely. And so just from my questions perspective, so it's
Mm,
really so the idea for that you have is motion sensor sees you turn on,
yes,
and then presence sensor takes over from there, and it keeps the lights on, and
yep,
then when it eventually says, hey, you know what, I'm fairly certain there's no presence here, then you go in and you turn it off, or then it
correct.
turns the lights off rather.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there are some edge cases. So, let's say, for example, I walk into a room, the IR sensor says, okay, someone's here, lights turn on, that's fine. Presence sensor says, yep, okay, eventually, yep, someone is in this room. But then what if I leave within, let's say the 4-minute timeout on the IR room, well, on the IR sensor, right? Okay. 4-minute timeout. The one sensor is saying someone's in the room, the other sensor is saying no. I will generally give priority to the FP1 because that's millimeter accuracy. Whereas I will then it becomes tricky if I walk back into the room. I'm then going to have the delay of
Mhm.
the sensor not one sensor already got motion detected, so the lights should already be on in that situation. So there
Yeah.
are slight edge cases. I think the best way to do that is to dial down the IR motion sensors timeout. So you can say, all right, if you don't see motion after 2 minutes, then assume it's all clear. That's probably
Right.
where I'm going to go to. But yes, a constant learning curve.
Okay. So let me ask you this before we jump into that. Is there a
Mm.
reason that you decided to do this instead of like putting like maybe a cheap and cheerful camera up, something like that, to say, and then run that through some image processing to say, hey, there's a human here, or there's not, right?
Yeah. So two things. One, cameras in the house still a bit uneasy on that. One, like just personally, I like it because I know like I have control, like I'm the one in control of viewing the camera feed and all that.
Yeah.
But other people in the home, Like my family might not. We also have guests in the home.
Yeah.
Grandparents coming to babysit, friends over for dinner. Like it just
Yeah. Don't want to feel watched.
yeah, yeah. And what
Yeah.
if
Okay.
we go on holidays and we decide to let someone house sit for us, right? Like it just.
Sure.
I mean, the motion sensors alone are probably already creepy enough. So
Yeah.
and that gets
Well,
to my second
we were
point,
talking
right?
we were talking about this in one of our episodes of the Home Assistant podcast.
Yeah.
If folks follow us here and not there, but just around how like sometimes people were like, well, one of the things you can do is put a motion sensor in your bathroom to say, and it's like that's a whole other level of creepy for people that don't understand that this
Yep.
isn't a camera. We're not like nobody wants to see that, right?
Yep.
So it's
and so this is my
yeah.
second point. So this is designed to be in rooms where there's little to no motion, right? So think about watching
Yeah.
TV, right? Like I don't necessarily need a camera pointing at me watching me watch TV.
Right.
There's also hardware. I have to install cameras, run Ethernet cables, or have the cameras chewing up my Wi-Fi. Then to get it back
Yep.
onto a server to constantly do image processing to say, is a person there? I've seen a fair few posts on the Home Assistant Facebook group of trees being detected as people. So
Sure. Yeah, it's
not,
not perfect.
not sure how much confidence I'm going to have with Frigate or something local running. And I don't necessarily want cloud pictures being sent, like my home, inside my
Right.
home being streamed up to the cloud just to detect if someone's in a room. So for me,
Yeah.
I think
Again,
camera.
there's local options, but even then, right? Like I totally get what you're saying there. But
Yeah.
so the difference is then you can't really delineate between this is a human and if you have any pets, like this is
Yep.
a dog, cat, whatever, turtle, whatever you have running around,
Absolutely.
right?
And I guess that works for me because we don't have any pets that could
Right.
trigger the sensors. And I guess would it be wrong if the sensors triggered for the pets? I mean, I guess it's personal preference. I don't know. I like the idea of my dog walking around the house and the lights turning on for it. Like it seems like it's part of the family, right? But then maybe that might be annoying for other families. I don't know. As I said, I'm not a pet owner, so can't comment on that.
Yeah.
But so I guess that leads us, to motion sensors. It does mean that we can't do facial recognition to work out who is in a room, but that's fine. I don't, the automation level I want to get to is not who is in the room. It's like how many people are in the room, or not how many people. Is there someone in the room? Just to turn on and off the lights. And I think a great use case I found for the FP1 is the ability to turn the TV off if no one's watching the TV, though, because no one's sitting on the couch watching TV.
Right.
Turn the TV off, right? I have a 2-year-old daughter. She'll love to put, something like Bluey or The Wiggles on TV, and eventually, she'll be there fine, sitting there watching that, and then she'll just, okay, I'm done with that. Take herself off, and we have to go entertain her, and the TV gets left on in a loop playing latest episodes. So the ability to have that, just turn itself off is amazing.
Yeah, no, that's pretty. That is pretty awesome. I think there's some value there too, right? Again, in terms of saving energy, saving even your screen time, right? Like it's just in your case, right?
Yeah, like don't have to have burn in on the screen if it's stuck on a pause screen or something. Yeah, so I think the only issue I've had, and it's not, so this thing is, says, as I said before, it can detect breathing from someone. I have seen it's not 100% perfect though. I've been in a situation where I've been late at night, like, yep, cool, I'm going to watch some TV, put on a Netflix documentary. It's been winter here, so I may have a blanket over me on the couch, snuggled in, and TV turns off. So,
right.
And that is with this sensor on high precision, pointed directly at the couch, up in the ceiling. So I should be there, but for whatever reason, perhaps the blanket was covering me in a way that it couldn't detect my movements. I wasn't moving enough.
Yeah.
So there are ways to fool this, but I think in the example of reading a book, you're constantly flipping pages and all that. You should be fine. And sleeping, I've found this thing has been extremely accurate when there's an adult
Yeah.
in the room. For my 2-year-old daughter, when she's asleep, it's not enough for her to trigger someone in the room.
Yeah.
But if if I'm in the bed, then for 8 hours, 10 hours, it will say someone's been in that room all night. So pretty
Yeah.
accurate. And that also ties into itself to other automations that can then be done based on when you get out of bed. If you're got a routine that kicks off starting from here, do this. So it's been winter down here in Australia for the last few
Mhm.
months, and in the bedroom we have the heater on overnight. So once no one's been in the bedroom, once everyone leaves the bedroom, the heater turns off, right? And
Right.
it's very quick, just to save some more energy.
I actually really like that because then at that, and again, I do the same with like I have a whole home humidifier now, but before
Yep.
that, I even had a smart plug with a humidifier in my bedroom, whatever, and I just have it randomly turn off at 8. Not randomly, it would
Yeah,
turn off at 8 a.m. every
yep,
day, right, and turn on whenever we trigger our good night program to go in.
absolutely, yeah. And that's the beauty of this thing, right? Because then you're not just it's not 8 a.m., right? What if you sleep
Yeah.
in, or what if you get up early, and that generally people try and get away with it with oh, once motion's been detected in the kitchen, but what if you get up for a glass of water in the middle of the night, or there's too many variables. So just that having that, okay, the room is not occupied for 10 minutes, shut everything down, everyone's awake
Yeah.
now, sort of makes it so much better.
That's cool. All right, let's jump into it. I want to see this thing.
All right, cool. So
I'm getting excited.
get them on AliExpress. They have been like rare as hen's teeth to buy at the moment. Just because
Is that rare? I don't know how hen's teeth
isn't that a
work.
saying?
No,
My wife always
it
says
might, it
like,
might be. I've never heard it, but
okay, maybe it's an Aussie saying. I'm pretty sure it's a saying. My wife says I always get those little things wrong, so maybe I said the wrong one. That's what I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, there was a time where you could only order one. I think they had a restriction coming out of China. They were only available to
Okay.
order inside China. I think that restriction has now come off because there was a recent AliExpress sale. It wasn't the best sale where I was able to buy, I think, 7 of these bad boys. The intention to put them into places like bathrooms and living rooms.
Yep.
That wasn't until I spoke to Rohan and he said, "No, that's a bit creepy." So I'll have to get.
Yeah.
I have to
Don't
workshop
do
that a
that.
little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me. I've got my. I've got my other.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I've got this here. I'm trying
You
not
can
to make
see.
it
I,
a
lo-
motion
I I
sickness.
love that we both for the first time actually wore our shirts that we're
I
supposed to
know.
wear.
Isn't
That
it nice?
we
Like,
decided
that,
that we were
yeah.
going to do every episode that we don't.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Let me. All right. Cool. That's better. So yeah, this is the Xiaomi box. It comes in. It's a nice white little box, Chinese written all over it.
Yeah.
The only thing in English here actually is the Aquara and FP1. Not that you can see it on the cam there. So if I open this up, we've got just some instruction manual, which is.
Is it in English or
I
is
don't
there
know.
English in it?
Actually, I didn't check this. Actually, no, it is all Chinese. As I said, this was only available in mainland China, and I think only a couple of sellers on AliExpress have finally opened it up to shipping multiple units
Right.
outside.
Okay. So there's no international version or anything like that.
No,
Yeah.
no. So I'll show you why that and how that also comes in. So, so that's the sensor itself. It's got a whole bunch of cables. So I'll just pull it out.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It is a wired sensor.
It
so
is,
it needs to be
yeah.
plugged in because it does use quite a bit of
Exactly.
power to run its thing.
Exactly. So there's a
Radar.
couple of other things here. So that is the unit itself. It's got a decent cable. I think it's 2 meters, 3 meters, something like that. I'm not sure what that is in feet or inches.
Sure.
And just a USB-A cord at the end. But there is no ability, which is really annoying, to take the cord out. So it's a fixed length cord.
Right. So if your power outlet is quite a bit further away,
Yep.
because usually you would put these things, I don't know, I would assume
Up in the ceiling.
wall mounted or around the
Yep.
ceiling, like so.
Yep, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's where it gets like really, really annoying.
So you need a USB extender or something of some kind.
Yep, exactly. So it comes with interestingly, now China have the same power outlet to Australia, I think, but this looks like it's a US style plug. So yeah, it's got a US style plug there. That the seller I purchased it from just gives you like international adapters, so
Yeah,
you can plug that in. But because it's USB-A, I'm just gonna when I plug it in, I'm just gonna
pop
plug
it
it
in.
into a power brick I've got here already.
So while you do that, there's just a interesting comment here. So
Mm,
Sean mentioned that one of the big YouTube posters posted about the sensor, and they realized that it detects the motion of their sensor of their ceiling fans, for example, and throws
yes,
things off.
yes, that's true as well. Because this doesn't it detects any form of motion, right? Um,
Right.
so yeah, that's I guess. And then so we've got summer coming up, and one of the things I wanted to do was automate fans, right? Like we've got a little pedestal fan that swings
Yeah.
around, but the motion, like this presence detector, will see that motion and assume it's a human. So that'll get tricky, I guess. It just comes down to uh, where how you point this in a direction. So what I'll do is just before I plug it all in and get tied up here,
Yeah.
this thing has a little stand in it as well. If you can see that,
Right. Just to
um,
angle it down or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and it's pretty like it's decent. It is a bit tricky, so so that way you can sort of like do like yeah, have it angled that way. So what you could do in the case of a ceiling fan or something that's
Hmm.
moving, if you can, I guess if this is mounted high enough in the ceiling, and you could point this down to avoid that ceiling fan, you might get away with it. There's also some sensitivity options that you can change in in the ZigBee side of things as well, which we'll get to in a minute, which may help. But yeah,
Right.
um,
Interesting. Okay.
one thing I did find frustrating is, and I don't know how I can explain this easily. I've mounted this in my bedroom up in the ceiling.
Okay.
So if you can imagine, like that's the wall. Um, Pointing down is fine, but if I'm up in a corner, the corners are either that way or that way. There's no
You
like
can't go sideways.
exactly, and the mounting on this, sure you can spin it around horizontal, like vertical, but you can't like actually adjust the tilt
Right.
on any axis around. So um, for right now, I've got it in the corner. Um, it seems to be okay. It seems to do enough direction to be able to pick it up. So I haven't had any complaints, but yeah, that's just one thing.
So
If you try and get
so
really, yeah,
I wonder if we're going to start seeing mounts for these things down the road. So,
oh,
like
really,
again, to what Sean mentioned,
yep,
he said he thinks it's Digiblur that mentioned it, right? So,
yep.
wonder if there's going to be a mount that says, "Hey, maybe let's just give it a like a hat, right? So essentially cover the top so you can't it doesn't detect the motion of a fan or something like that. I don't know if that'll
That's
work
interesting. Yeah, I wonder if you
potentially,
could like, wonder if you could put like
right?
even electrical
And
tape on
then,
top of it or something like that.
well, I don't think electrical tape will do it, just because again,
Oh
if
yeah,
it's radar, it should be able to
yeah,
go
that's
through
true.
that, right? But just give it like a solid a hat, essentially. I don't know how
Yeah,
what better way to describe it, right? Like the
put some cardboard over it or something.
yeah, but how do you do that in a way that doesn't look ugly, right? So it's
Yeah, well, so also in the
I think
box.
mounting considerations need to be pretty important here, even in terms of your tilt too, like from what you said,
Mm,
Phil.
and speaking of mounting, so in the box you've got this it's actually quite heavy metal
Yeah, metal
bracket,
plate.
which has two screw holes in it. No screws in the box though, so you'll BYO screws.
Bring your own. Okay.
And I believe that is a double-sided tape to fix it to the wall. Doesn't
Interesting.
look like
Okay.
it's any of that 3M stuff. That's probably going to do some damage if you try and rip it off. But the idea being is that this metal plate is actually a magnet against
I was
this.
gonna say I don't know why they wouldn't just put a strong magnet in there, but I guess it
Yeah.
is.
So yeah, it is a magnet. So I guess if you've got like a magnetized wall already that you could stick this against, it would work. Like maybe like a metal stud or something that you might be able to
Yeah.
um, put it against. But otherwise, yeah, that's a magnet base. Um, and yeah, the only annoying thing is just that cord, right? Like there's no nice, pretty way to mount that cord or make
Yeah.
it more discreet.
Even if it was like in the back, you could at least channel it through
Yeah, like there's
something like
no
that, right?
channel at the back here at all, which is like really frustrating. All you get is a little QR code, um,
Yeah.
and there's nothing. So
Yeah.
I guess that is the sensor. Um, let me. I did that the wrong way, so I got that little bit of tape. So yeah, so it's a Zigbee 3.0 sensor. It does require some bindings, I'm guessing, or some, whatever hub you're plugging into should be able to
Yep.
support it. I have synced this up with Home Assistant using ZHA. I've got two running through ZHA using a combi stick. No problem. Latest version of Home Assistant. Actually, if people can see, I don't know on the video, but there is actually another one pointing at me right up there on top of my server up there. So
Oh, there is. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I used to monitor. Is someone in the office? So as soon as I plug this in, it's not linked to anything. So I just plug that into USB-A. There should be a light, I believe. Now there is on the back of it here, just up here. That is the link button. So when I press that,
Right.
I believe it will flash.
So installation
Right,
advice
somewhere.
is do this before you mount it.
Yes. Yep. So and depending on, so it's Zigbee's, right? So you'll need to put it near whatever Zigbee, either the controller you're going to use or the routing, like the power device that you're going to link the device through,
Right.
which is an option in Home Assistant. There is a
It'll figure
tiny
itself out eventually. It's just
yes.
better to just statically set it, right?
Yeah. There's a tiny blue light. I don't know if I click that. There you go. So you can see the
Yep.
blue light there. That just means it's gone into pairing mode.
Pair
So
mode.
I'll sit that there. And then we can sort of fire up Zigbee to MQTT. Let's have a look. What do we got? I can press the right button here.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty interesting that they kept it in the back rather than on the side or in the
Yeah. So, but I guess because you've got the metal mount, right? So it's easy to take it off because it's not because the mount that is physically put on the roof or on
right.
the,
So you
on
can
the
always
wall,
just
so you can
pop
just
it
pull it
off.
off and press it, right? Although if you have
How
done some cable management to that cord, then it might get a bit tricky.
yeah, I was going to say, how are you managing the cable today? Is it just kind of lying there, or
So
there-
one I've done on top of the blind pelmet. So in the pelmet, I actually ran up some cabling and just a USB into a USB hub,
right?
which is powering some blind motors by a USB, and also there's a
Cool.
spare unit for this. That works nicely, so that's completely discreet, right? I just hid the cord up in the pelmet of the blind.
Yeah,
front
just
seat,
tuck it
right?
in wherever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There is in my bedroom, I've got it up in the ceiling, in the corner, and I went to the local hardware store and I've got some cable tubes, I guess, that have
Right.
like the 3M sticker on the back mounted. It's not ideal at all. Probably would want to, particularly with this length, and this is what really frustrates me about this sensor, is that because it's such that fixed length and I can't change it here, sure, it runs down the wall, right? But then halfway down the wall, it runs out of this cable. So then
Right.
I have to, and the cable's like really thin. But obviously the USB-A plug is a fixed size, and the USB-A plug doesn't fit in the cable management tube that I've got.
Right.
So I either get a thicker cable management tube, which is just in excess for what I need for that little bit of cable,
Yeah.
or I just stop the cable, plug it into an extension cord halfway down the wall, and then continue the tube. So it's
I wonder if they kind of intended it to be at like body level, right? So like for example, I've got the shelves behind me. Maybe
Yep,
stick it
yep.
there, or the same way how you had your shelves that you showed.
Yep.
And keep it at that level rather than like a top corner. Because I agree with you. I think I would prefer it in. I just feel like it would get much better coverage.
Yep.
if it's on top there. But maybe that's old time thinking, right? Maybe that doesn't necessarily affect us here.
Well, it's interesting you say that because that is what all the promo material for the Xiaomi FP1 sensor has. It's, you know, generally I think like in the middle of the wall, and someone walks past it.
Yeah.
And I guess that is sort of its design, maybe. But I think
Yeah.
the issue I have with that is the higher you go in terms of ceiling, the more room coverage you get.
Yes,
If you're down,
agreed.
right? Because the last thing you need is like a TV, that's in the middle of the room for whatever reason, and you've got your sensor mounted at that
And it's
height.
blocking it, or
Anything behind the TV doesn't get access, right? But if you're up in the ceiling, you can see over the TV. So that's sort of my thinking on why it should be mounted so high.
yeah, and they do say that the monitoring range is 120 degrees and the radial detection distance is 5 meters. So
Yep.
that's in their little publication that they've put in.
And I guess if
Which
you've
I
got
guess I can
super
paste that
high
into the chat.
ceilings, like you probably wouldn't want to maybe mount it in the ceiling. You've got really, really high ceilings. Maybe the 5 meter range will be a bit limiting. And I guess this is also version 1, right? Like a version 2 of this product will most likely come out with little enhancements like that, extension
Yeah.
cords and better mounting options. All right, let me plug this thing back in. So we're going to use Zigbee to MQTT. Heads up, I should have practiced beforehand, but I have not.
It's always the fun part about live demos.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so let me pull all that up. All right, brilliant. Okay, so I don't have many things on this network, so just for you guys, I didn't want to use my main Zigbee instance. So if I go in, let's go to permit join. Let's see if it's actually going to allow new devices. And I'll just hit my little button here. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
That was quite
Starting
quick.
interviewed, bam, done. Wow,
that was.
There you go.
Impressed myself there. I thought something's going to go wrong. I'm going to have to go in, restart Docker containers. We're going to have to do some fiddling around.
That's right.
That actually.
I wonder. So this is a plugged-in device. It's a powered device. So I wonder
Yes.
if it's will it act as a Zigbee repeater or router, whatever they call it?
I do not believe so. That's actually a really good question. I
Probably
don't
not.
think it does. No. So that's come up in Zigbee to MQTT, and obviously I have my Home Assistant running there. So what we can do. Excuse me. I can't see that. Let me. Of course, I'm not logged in. All right. So then that's just come in and it's just added in new sensors. So we've got the detection range and also the mode. So the mode's important. So one of the interesting use cases for this sensor is direction support. So you can actually have the ability for this sensor to only detect or mark in Home Assistant someone's there when they're moving in a specific direction, so from left to right, as opposed to just being there. I'm guessing that would be useful for things like hallways or like corridors where you want to track is someone moving down or moving in a certain direction. I'm not 100% sure on a particular use case. I haven't got one. Particularly, because it takes so long for this detection to get picked up. I think having a direction. I think Rahan, in a very early episode of the podcast I mentioned in my old house, I would have two sensors either end of the hallway, and depending on which sensor triggered first, the lights would go down, like similar to once again Stargate Atlantis or something, right? But I don't have that ability anymore. I don't have light every single light bulb that can be implemented that way, and I don't know if this will be fast enough to do that.
Work in
Um,
progress.
Exactly. So, all right. So, binary sensor has got an unknown status. So, I guess first time it hasn't really reported anything yet. I'm actually gonna try and hide this in the box that it came in, and point it away
I
from
don't
me.
I don't know if the box is going to do anything.
Good
You might
point.
need to put it in
I'll just point it
like
to
a
the
metal thing. Oh yeah, point it to the wall. There you go.
point it to the wall and see what happens. So that should eventually say no one is here in a minute. Okay, so
Yeah.
we've got outage count. Okay, so as I said, this is the first time I've linked up with ZigBee to MQTT. I haven't seen.
Hmm.
We'll unplug it in a minute and see what happens there. And event approach. Okay, cool. So I've got it undirected. So yeah, we've got fair, medium, and near as like the distance. So yeah,
So these are settings that you are setting to say, hey, this is how it's positioned.
yeah. So I'm guessing. Well, no. So
Right.
here I can say how far away do I want to detect people, right? So I'm guessing if someone is within
Or-
5
yeah.
meters, okay, say someone's there. But if they're less than 5 meters away, if they're more than 5 meters away, then don't do it. Like so. This is
Right.
how where you can control.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
That accuracy. And undirected, all that left to right movement. So, and that's pretty much it. So that's how easy it was to link up. And if you're in Home Assistant and you've got the ZHA component, I don't have it linked up to this one. No, I don't. But you should be able to go in to like a powered device and say, hey, link, add nodes via this route or something like that, and away it would go.
Okay, that makes sense. Sean in the comments on YouTube was actually just saying check the graph and see if it shows as a router device, right? Because in ZigBee to MQTT.
Yes, good call. Let's take a look. So
have a look at the map there.
Let's have a look. No, I'm going to say that is a no.
I think if you hover over it, it should tell you.
Green
I think
means
it's
an end device. So
blue means so router, it's not a router.
So yeah, it's just marked as an end device, which I'm pretty sure I've seen on other unboxings and
powered.
It's so strange that this is a powered device, and it it constantly needs to be plugged in. Why they wouldn't allow other devices to be routed through it?
It might just be the amount of power that it has. That it's because it's USB, whatever. It's not like it doesn't have mains, right? So but I guess even your office blinds are the same. I thought you said those are plugged into that USB as well, or is this still a different one that's battery?
No, they are. So they're battery. They're all the blinds are battery, but I have some plugged in constantly to USB just to so I don't have to charge them. Because if I can get power up there, I may as well charge them up using the USB cord. Probably not good for the. I will if they're not good for the batteries. I may look at. And this is a sidetrack, real quick. There are Sonoff. I think Rosemary talked about it on her episode. There's little Sonoff USB power toggle devices. So if you've got something that's USB powered, like for example, this motion sensor, right? Like you could put a little USB smart switch against it, essentially. On AliExpress, and then kill the power to it. So that's something I might do. But anyway, it's unfortunately not a router, router or router, however. If you're British, you would.
I say router. Say it.
There you go. So let me go back into Home Assistant real quick. We'll just see if that device is stopped detect, or if I'm still moving around on the desk here and it's saying, hey. Okay, so it's actually detected it. So it's come up as a home sensor, which I guess using the settings here, so we can show as presence. So we could have it as motion or occupancy. So
probably occupancy,
a better one. So by default, we'll just update that. Detected. So maybe if I can, the way I've got it pointed, it's actually not like dead away from me. I'll just change it a little bit better.
There may be some reflection too, right? So
Well, yeah, and that's. Well, I guess we can do a test live here right now. How, because I've got it down. It's set to near distance, so I mean it's on the table in front of me, so that makes sense.
yeah.
Interesting. Power outage count has gone to 4. That thing has not lost power, like since we've been on this video. So I'm not sure how much I trust this sensor.
Interesting. Unless it's rebooted itself a couple of times, maybe. But
Yeah, potentially, and that's why it's got the just so yeah, the leaving of the room is generally pretty quick. I would say within like 30 seconds. So if this doesn't change to clear in the next, minute, I would say it must be that sensitive that it being pointed away
Mhm.
from me is still enough for it to say someone is in the room, which is, it doesn't bode well for people with things like ceiling fans, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
As I said before,
exactly.
just being able to point it at a certain direction, that may not be able to, work for you.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty neat. I mean, it's cool. Again, it's clearly not perfect. There's obviously some issues with it, in terms of cord length, potentially in terms
Yep.
of, again, like Sean bringing up the to just like, again, things like ceiling fans and stuff like that, right? Again,
Yep.
being an issue there. And thanks for bringing that up, by the way, Sean. So yeah, I mean, seems like an interesting product, but
Look, as I said, I don't think it must be that sensitive that it's really just right on the desk in front of me. I pointed away, so I'm not going to
yeah,
change now, but it is that sensitive of it being pointed away from me for it to know that something is in the room. And yeah, I don't know where I could hide this to
yeah.
make it so it doesn't have me detect it, so I could show you just how slow it is at detecting. But
There you go. Well, tip for next time, I guess.
get a metal box to hide it in.
That's right.
But yes, so yeah, that's the Xiaomi FP1. I know what. So after seeing that, Rahan, would you buy one? I guess.
I still don't have a use case for it. I think it
But
is
you've got your
nothing.
lights done with Lutron, right? Like,
Yeah, I have my lights done with Lutron, so I can, in theory, do exactly what you said, right? In terms of like, because again, all of my lights are dimmers,
yep.
so I can actually have dimmed or undimmed, so on and so forth. But I think, yeah, I don't know. Like if I had a use case, if I had a use case for needing presence, I'd consider it.
Yep.
But again, I think it's the powered part that bothers me a little bit. Not bothers
Yeah.
me, but it's just I need to have a good space for it, right? So like, again, like I said, the shelf behind me, great, that's a good space for it. But
Yep.
on the other hand, that might actually be kind of cool to say, because again, I do have some automations that are again, that surround WebEx, for example, because I use that at work. So my presence on WebEx goes online, offline, whatever. Based on that, if I'm on a call or if I'm not on a call, certain things happen. So, for example, the Amazon Echo behind me on the other hand, right here, all of those around the house get muted if I'm on a call. So right now I do that with my status on WebEx, and I reset that back at 5 p.m.
Hang on,
Right.
sorry. Just one sec on that. I just want to fact check you on that. How you say muting or going to do not disturb?
Sorry, it goes to do not disturb.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, I've not been able to mute and
No,
I
no,
thought that
no.
was like a security thing, right? You can't unmute it.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah,
Oh, good. Okay. I thought you would have the Amazon Echo, and I was going to ask you how you.
No, I haven't. Though with a lot of the new protocols coming up, again, things like Matter, that may be possible down the road to say, hey, mute. But yeah, so to complement an automation like that, sure, I could see me doing that. Is that worth the, I don't know, what is it, $60 plus shipping to Canada? Or even if it's free shipping, $60.
Yeah.
I don't know. My automation kind of works. It works most of the time, unless I have a late thing going on like this, in which case I have like a podcast mode, right, where it does the same thing, where it
Yep.
it
Well,
sets all
that's why I
my
wanted to
echoes
bug
to
you
do
about
on
it,
the
right?
screen.
Like podcast mode, like when we, because right now I think I've got mine set up to do the do not disturb stuff, close the blinds,
Yeah, yeah,
put the lights on, but then yeah, that last bit is just actually pressing that mute button, and it's not until you actually someone says her name that then you
yeah,
realize, oh crap, I didn't mute her properly.
yeah, exactly. Sean was asking what your presence event was doing because it kept changing to approach and stuff like that.
Interesting. He's actually right. Let me reshare the screen. Sorry, let me.
Maybe it's still in the middle of getting its bearings. I don't know.
No, I don't think
Is,
so.
is that a
But
thing?
but it has changed again. Like just as you asked that question.
Yeah.
So let's have a quick. I think I have to press that button. There we go. So we can see here it's actually changed now to the presence event away. I don't know. I haven't seen. So this is the first time I've linked it with Zigbee to MKGT, and I'm just gonna.
I wonder,
check.
is that the actual, hey, it's there, I see presence or I don't see presence?
Well, no,
So I
because
wonder what
before it
that
was
top
near.
presence is.
Yeah, but before it was near approach, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just checking my my other.
Yeah, because
Uh,
you said you're doing that one through ZHA, not
exactly,
Zigbee through
exactly.
Zigbee to
So
MQTT.
if I can get, I'll see what that one has, because they might actually be different entities completely. So I can then just we can go in and see what the bedroom presence has. Or actually, we'll do what this office one has. So I'm using my combi, and I want to just see the office presence.
Ah, interesting. Sean had a theory of maybe it's detecting something closer, or is it something getting closer to it?
Well, yeah. So that's what I'm not sure about. So I've just where are we? So away. So I'm not, so we've got near undirected away. It's still saying that someone, so that hasn't changed, right? 10 minutes ago, someone. I'm going to just
Yeah.
and see if it changes to
There you
like
go.
approaching.
Flip to approach to away
Yeah.
to approach. So I guess depending on how close you bring it, is that what the difference is?
Well, actually, that changed really quick.
Yeah, that's actually it's actually. I guess it's wired in, right? So it can
Yeah.
constantly update.
That is
Wow, kind of cool.
so. As I said, so I'm learning right now with everyone. So I have, as I said, I've got the other device up here in. So the one that's come through from ZHA doesn't have this approach and device. So I'm going to just
Interesting.
bring
So
up
maybe it's just a library difference.
potentially. So where is? Oh, it's going to be one of these. That one.
Quara, yeah.
Yep. So controls near undirected. So it's got sensors. Controls. Yeah, interesting. Like there's no additional sensors
Motion
that come through.
sensitivity. Even if you go down a little more, there's motion sensitivity and there's
Yes, that's your config.
something else
Yeah.
that's not shown. Interesting.
Motion
that's kind of cool.
sensitivity. Okay, but that's unavailable. Wow, that's actually very interesting. So on the live version, and I'll open it up. So on the ZHA version, I should say, there's no there's the sensors, but they don't there's no power outage count or the presence event. They're not available in.
Are you able
ZHA.
to show us the ZHA one?
Yeah, let me see if it might ask me to log in. Yes, it is. Of course, it is. So this is the ZHA one, and so before we had all the approach, all that under the sensors. It's actually not here.
I kind of like the way that it's organized better in ZH8 though. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's I think yeah, that's interesting. You do see a couple of the other things. What are the other
and though that's the link quality index and RSSI. I think that's what it stands.
RSSI?
Yeah,
Yeah, that it is.
but so yeah,
No
interesting that.
present. Interesting. Yeah,
So
it's a different set of configuration variables there too.
yeah, so
Hmm.
I don't know how I would use those approach and away, but that's very cool actually. I guess if someone's moving away from the
Yeah.
sensor, you could then
It
dim the
is. It
light.
is. It's in the logbook though, right? Oh, actually, Sean just mentioned that too. It's. I see it there on the right where you say approach
Oh, it
sensor
is
event was fired.
office presence sensor approach sensor. Oh, right. Okay, so that makes sense. So in ZHA, they come through as Home Assistant events, but in Zigbee to MQTT, they're
It's a
exposed as
device.
a device, as a sensor.
Interesting. Got it.
That's I'm guessing you can't do events over MQTT. Could be wrong, or Zigbee to MQTT hasn't implemented it if it's
Maybe.
available. That's why it's sort of you get the it's those little nuances.
So it's still
Very
there. It's still able to trigger on certain things. So it's just.
yeah,
But again, most importantly, I think what we see is we see that there's an office occupancy detected there,
yep,
and so on. So it does work. Just and that's that sensor that was behind you or beside you, I guess,
yeah, exactly, yeah, just
that we were
over
looking
here
at
somewhere.
earlier
Yep,
from the view. Yeah.
yep.
Very cool.
Um, but yeah, there's just like I don't know. For me, I really like these sensors because there's so much options that you can do with
Yeah.
them. Like I know you said that you wouldn't want a like a you don't have a use case for it, but I think I would find many a use case for it.
Yeah, again,
Even
I'm
just
sure
to close
I
your
can make up
office,
use
right?
cases, right? It's a
Isn't
matter
that
of
half the fun of home
it
automation
is,
though?
it is. I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, okay, what do I need? Okay, let's get that done first,
Yep.
and then there's the nice to haves, right? It's just the list just keeps growing, but no, it is neat.
In terms of other devices, so I've seen on AliExpress now there are other variants of the like millimeter wave, presence detection. I don't know 100% what if they're the same quality as the FP1. Like the FP1 seems to just be talked about by
Mhm.
everyone, right? Um, and I don't know if they're the same quality. There's some 2-year ones out there as well. There's different mounting options. There's one that can be mounted in the ceiling. It looks just like almost like a pendant light, I'm guessing.
Yep.
And there's another one from Aquara. It's the high precision motion sensor, which I don't know if it uses the same technology, but it's battery powered and it can be flush mounted in the wall. It's also designed to be in the bathroom. So because it's like got some high humidity waterproofing.
Right, right, right. I thought you
So
meant aesthetically, and I was like, how are you hiding an eye there?
yeah,
So it's like,
no,
okay, cool.
yeah. So there's definitely some other options, and this probably isn't the cheapest on the market, but it's certainly one of the most talked about, and one of the highest
Yeah.
rated. My only quibble is that USB cord length. Not being able to change that is a real letdown for me. I'll
Yeah.
make do with it for now, but that is it. That is the Xiaomi FP1 sensor. If you've got any other questions that you want to know about that we didn't get to today, feedback at All Things Smart Home Show is our address. There it is up on the screen. Feedback at allthingssmarthome.show. And I'll be sure to answer as many as I can.
Yeah. And feel free to reach out to us on Twitter, whatever, social media,
Yep.
as well. So yeah, there you go.
Awesome. I think that's going to call it there.
Awesome.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.